Good afternoon, Morama Moktan. I take up political science in Pranami Balika Vidya Mandir. Today, my topic is organ of government. So, when we talk about government, government has three wings: executive wings, legislative wings, and judiciary wings. Legislature makes law, executive implements those laws, and judiciary sees to it those laws are carried out properly, interprets, applies, and protects law. For example, just now we are observing lockdown. The law is made by our Honorable Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and the executive members like police forces, they are there to see all the people have carried out this law properly. So again, executive are of two types. One is political executive and another is professional executive. Political executive means the one who comes to the power with people's support or party support or by winning election. Professional executive comes into the power through their own capability or merit, and they have to sit for written exams, they have to undergo all the trainings, then they come to the power. These people are also called bureaucrats. For example, political executive means Prime President, Prime Minister, Council of Ministers. Bureaucratic officers means IAS officer, IPS officer, our DM, Sir, STO, they come under bureaucratic officer. Now, legislature, we call it Parliament. Parliament consists of two houses in India, and which is called Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. Rajya Sabha consists of approximately 245 members, and chairperson of Rajya Sabha is the Vice President. Can I ask you one question? Who is the Vice President of India? Then next, Lok Sabha. Lok Sabha consists of approximately 545 members, and the meetings are conducted by the Speaker and Deputy Speaker. Now another question for you students: who was the first lady Speaker of India? Then judiciary is like pyramid shape. On the top we have Supreme Court. Only final authorities are given by Supreme Court, and in states we have high courts, and in the district we have subordinate court, and in the subdivision also we have subordinate courts. Next slides. So in a there are two forms of government. One is unitary form of government, means unitary form of government have one government only. And in federal form of government, we have two sets of government, which is called central government and the state government. Central government means, central government also has three wings: executive, legislative, and judiciary, where the executive head is President, Prime Minister, Council of Ministers, and the bureaucrats. Bureaucrats are professional executive. And in the legislative body, we have Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha. I explained you about this. And judiciary, we have Supreme Court, which is the highest court of an appeal. Now in the state, we have 29 states, as you all know. So executive head is governor, who is appointed by the President of India, and Chief Minister, Council of Ministers, and Bureaucratic Officer. Bureaucratic Officer is a professional head. In Legislative Assembly could be of 2 houses or 1 house, like Council of States and Legislative Assembly, or just the Legislative Assembly. It is up to the minister to decide, but in our Bengal we have just 1 house. Even in Sikkim we just have Legislative Assembly only. And in the states we have High Court, which looks after the affairs of the state, and the district we have District Court, which looks after the affairs of the district. But one state should have 1 court. This is not necessary. Sometimes 1 or 3 more states can have 1 High Court. Example, Guwahati High Court is shared by Manipur, Mizoram, and Assam. Like in the case of West Bengal also, when Sikkim did not have their own High Court, they shared Calcutta High Court. Now they have their own High Court. Next slide, please. Now I am coming to the point, that is the functions of executive. So according to Garner, there are following functions of executive. Number 1 is diplomatic. Diplomatic functions is the most important functions of executive. They are of 3 kinds. First is to make the country adequately represented in the manners of international relations. No state lives in isolations. All the state lives in cooperation and in support. So the state, there has to be a good international relations. Number 2, appoints diplomatic officers to the foreign countries and receive them from those countries. You may have, if you have visited Delhi, there is a place called Panchashil. It has lots of embassies and ambassadors, like American ambassadors, Japanese embassies, all those embassies area is very beautiful. And the third function of diplomatic is to make treaties with another countries or agreements or declare war if the situation so demands. So this is number 1, functions of diplomatic. Now coming to the administrative, the chief duty is to maintain law and order of the country. The executive must ensure that the security and interest of the people. For maintaining law and order, there is an administrator stationed from top to bottom. For example, now we are observing lockdown. Most of the people are facing problems. Health and economic have been shattered all over the world. So this is the time administrators are there to maintain law and order and provide some food or some comfort to the people. They see to it, even those grassroots people are fed properly, or those who are stranded in from one country to another, they are properly arranged back to their own place. Please, this is the functions of administrative and legislative and military. Regarding military, in all the states, military power are vested in the executive. The executive commands and controls the military. Military are of 3 kinds: the army, the navy, and the air force. Army works in the field, navy works in the oceans with submarines and warships, and air force flies with their jet plane and copters and looks after the people, protects the country. And the chief commander-in-chief of these 3 wings is the president. He is automatically the head of this wing. The judiciary In every state, the executive head of the state are given judicial power and functions. This includes commutation of sentence, like those who have committed a very severe crime, then they could be punished for say 10 years, 20 years or lifetime punishment, or death sentence also can be given, or pardon of convict. Supposing criminal proved to be there is an improvement in the behaviors of the criminals while they are inside the prison, then they can be shorten their punishment. Legislative and ordinance making. The executive has certain legislative functions. In the parliamentary system of government, the executive summons the legislature, draft bills and take initiative in getting those passed in the legislature. Summons the legislature means making orders to appear in the court, and draft bills means no bill becomes an act before it is presented in the bill. The bill has also process like first reading, second reading and third reading, and it has to be approved by the majority. So it is the executive who makes it sure these bills are properly read and prepared and it is passed, and they takes initiative getting into this passed in the legislature. Then it has the power of issuing ordinance and delegated legislations. The ordinance means to order to make it in the authority. In authoritative way. Delegated legislation means there is an emergency. When the minister are not in the action, then the prime minister can send some person with that assignment. That is called delegated legislation. Then now we are coming to number 6 points, that policy formulations. A policy is the basic guide to action and is adopted and followed in the governmental process. Whenever we are working for any institutions, organizations, first we have to outline what are we going to do. That is called the policy. So in this guideline, we will work out accordingly. That is called policy formulation. A policy is a guideline on the basis of which the programs are framed. Political executive plays a decisive role in policy making. So next is the planning. The basis of various governmental activities is the planning. Planning is preparation for action. Just now we are giving you lectures because we want you next year when you sit for your exams, you should find it easier to get through or get a good percentage. That is the preparations. And in government also, they have their own preparations to run the government state smoothly and properly. So it is the process of determining the objectives of administrative effort and of devising the means of calculated to achieve them. Governmental policies and decisions emerge and originate from planning, and it is political executive who makes the plan. Like staying inside the house is a law made by our Honorable Prime Minister, which is followed by all the government officials. I have just come from school distributing rice and potatoes. These are the preparations, these are the plannings which is made by government to provide comfort to the people. So that is the example I am just giving. Now next slide is please organizations. The success of the smooth functioning of modern big government rests on the establishment and working of organizations. Political organization performs these functions. There is a party, they have to coordinate, they have to support each other. So that is how the organization could be successful. It includes large-scale organized formal structure established to perform the administrative tasks of the government. The formal and ceremonial functions. This is called formal and ceremonial functions, like The ministers are minister comes into the power through the elections majority vote, but formally it is the president who appoints prime minister and council of ministers in the central government, and in the state government it is the governor which appoints chief minister and council of ministers. This is called formal and ceremonial functions, and all the top high brass officers are also appointed by president in the central government and governor by the state government. These appointments are however finalized by the political executive beforehand, as I explained you before. Besides the formal executive discharges other ceremonial functions like the dignitaries or the foreign guests from the foreign visits India. It is the duty of the president to look after him well. Now, the last but not the least point is the leadership. The functions of the leadership distinguishes the political executive from other type of executive. The smooth functioning of modern state depends largely on the quality of the leadership given by political executive. Like leadership means, I can give you an example of Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi looked very simple and very weak sort of a person, but he has such a strong determination, and during the freedom struggle period, it is his firm belief in himself with his truth and non-violence. He could conquer, he could free India from the Britishers, and Britishers at that time were the most powerful colony in the entire world. So with his policy of non-violence, non-cooperation, satyagraha movement, he could make impossible things possible. That is the quality of leaders. So if leader is a simple, sincere, if they are committed leader, if they can convince the people, then there will be a different, it brings mileage to the state. It brings, it takes the state to altogether different level. That is why the word presidential leadership has become so much popular in the USA. So now the most powerful country in the world is USA, where the president's leadership is highly talked of. Leadership implies not only guiding the bureaucrats and the people, but also coordinating different organs of government. Government have lots of organizations through which it coordinates and runs the entire state. Let me recap once again. Just now we have talked about organs of government. The organs of government means three wings: executive wings, legislative wings, and judiciary wings. Executive makes law, judiciary implements those laws, and executive implements those laws, and judiciary interprets, applies, and protects law, and sees to it those laws are carried on properly. Now, in executive, there are two types of executive. One is political executive, and another is professional executive. The political executive means the one who comes into the power with the majority vote, parties backing, and through the election. Example, Prime Minister, President, and Council of Ministers, they are called political executive. Professional executive is the one who are selected on the basis of their capability or merit. They have to go through the written exams, viva, go through the training, then they become a professional officer. Legislature, we call it parliament. Other name of legislature is also parliament. Parliament consists of two houses, upper house, which we call Rajya Sabha, and the lower house we call Lok Sabha. Rajya Sabha consists of 245 members, and chairman of the Rajya Sabha is Vice President of India, and lower house is run, chairperson of the lower house is Speaker and the Deputy Speaker. Now in judiciary department, it is like a pyramid, you could say. On the top we have Supreme Court, and in states we have High Court, and in the district we have subordinate courts. Now, two forms of government. Government are of two forms, unitary form and federal form. Unitary form means they have one government. Federal form means they have two sets of government, is called federal government. In India, we have two forms of government. When number of population is large, when the area is very large, it cannot be controlled by one government. So the federal form of government is the most suitable form of government. In India also we have federal form of government. Now federal form of government is called central government and the state government. Central government, we have president, prime minister, council of ministers and bureaucratic officers. Legislative wing, we have Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha, and judiciary, we have Supreme Court. And this government works for the entire country or whichever area, state needs the attention. And state government, we have governor, chief minister and council of ministers and the bureaucrats. In the legislative wing, we have council of states and legislative assembly. But this two houses is optional. So in India, many states do not have two houses. They just have legislative assembly. For example, West Bengal, we have just legislative assembly. And in Sikkim also, we have legislative assembly. And in states, we have high courts, and in districts, we have subordinate courts. Now, coming to the main point, functions of executive. The functions of executive, first function is the diplomatic functions. It is of three kinds. First function, diplomatic function is to make the country adequately represented in the manners of international relations and to appoint diplomatic representatives to the foreign countries and receive them from those countries and to make treaties, agreements, declare war if situations so demand. So if you want to go to the work as IFS officer or for work as an ambassador, you will have to study hard, get good percentage, then you can be also a foreign officer. And administrative, the chief duty is to maintain the law and order of the country. It must ensure the security and interest of the people. When they maintain law and order, they must see security of interest of people is not hampered. For maintaining law and order, there are administrators stationed from top to bottom, IPS officer, police force, DM, SDO, all the administrative wings are to maintain the law and order of the area. Now, military, in all states, military power are vested in the executive. The executive commands and controls the military, including army, navy and air force. These are called defense. They are come under the defense, and the president is commander-in-chief of these forces. Judiciary, in every state, the executive head of the state is given judicial power and functions. This includes commutation of sentence and pardon of convict. Sometimes convict behaviors change in the cell, then the judiciary, executive judiciary have the right to shorten his punishment or pardon him. Legislative and ordinance making, the executive has certain legislative functions. In the parliamentary system, executive summons the legislature. Summons means making law. In the court, making them, order them to go to the court, and draft bill means any act is presented in the form of bill, then only it becomes an act. There is a process like first reading, second reading, third reading, approval of the majority party, then only a signature by president, then only it becomes an act, and the text and the executive is the one to take initiative in getting those passed in the legislature. It has the power of issuing ordinance, and delegated legislation means it can make the law in authority, or it can ask someone who is not in the power, it can send some person to pass the law. It is called delegated legislation. The policy formulations, a policy is a basic guide to the action that is adopted and followed in the governmental process. A policy is a guideline on the basis of the programs are formed. The political executive plays decisive role in the political policy making. For example, in the education department, they have framed policy like RTE 2009. Accordingly, the children are given free education, free uniform, free midday meal, and some incentive for the student who comes from far off places. Why? This is because the younger generations are the future of society. So if the society is to make a strong and healthy, the younger generation has to be healthy too. So this is with this aim in mind, they have framed this policy. The planning is the basis of various governmental activities. Planning is preparation for actions. It is the process of determining the objectives of the administrative effort and of devising the means calculated to achieve them. Governmental policies and decisions emerge and originate the planning. It is the political executive who makes the plan. Supposing there is a need for anything, so you approach to political executive, they will make a planning, and there are lots of departments, bureaucratic officers who will assist them. So with that the planning is done. Next slide please. Organizations. The success of the smooth functioning of the modern big government rests on the establishment and working of the organization. Political organization performs these functions. It includes large-scale organized formal structure established to perform the administrative tasks of the government. It is such a big, huge country, but it is running very smoothly and efficiently. It is because of the organization. Because of the organization skill, the country has been able to run smoothly. So organization plays very important role. Formal and ceremonial functions, appointment of ministers, civil servants, judges, etc. These appointments are, however, finalized by political executive beforehand. Besides, the formal executive discharges other ceremonial functions. Example, Prime Minister comes to the majority party from the elections, but formally it is the President who appoints Prime Minister, Council of Ministers. So in state, it is the Governor who appoints Chief Minister and Council of Ministers. This is the ceremonial function. Leadership, the last but not the least, functions of the leadership distinguishes the political executive from the types of executive, and it gives mileage to the state. It upgrades the state. The smooth functioning of the modern state depends largely on the quality of the leadership given by the political executive. That is why the word presidential leadership has become so popular in the USA, because he is the sole responsible person for steering the state ahead. The leadership implies not only guiding the bureaucrats and people, but also coordinating different organs of the government. I can give you an example of Mahatma Gandhi. He was such a great leader who could change the political scenario during Indian freedom movement. His technique of satyagraha, truthfulness, moved the people. He was success in making civil disobedience movement, non-cooperation movement, Swadeshi movement, and he was successful in bringing India independent. And at that time, British was so powerful. So without arms, non-violently he could bring India new freedom to the people. So this is about the leadership. With this note,